So now that we have the International Maker Station, we've got like 5 times, 10 times the room that we had before with 3-phase power, and we've got 220 outlets everywhere. And we need to fill this space with some awesome tools, but we also need to do it without breaking the bank. Now, I've talked a lot about buying used tools, which is how I buy all my tools. In fact, I'll link the video I did about buying used tools right here. But another way to buy used tools that is incredibly effective is going through auctions. So I recently went down to an auction to pick up some tools for the International Maker Station, and I got a screaming deal. I got a planer that I found for $9,000 on eBay for $800. I got a drill press that I found for $1,500 on eBay for $250, and it's really not that hard to do. Now, there's not tons of auctions in every city, but they're usually within 50 to 200 miles from you, and it's really worth the drive because you can pick up tools for like 90% less than you can get them on Craigslist for. So I was invited to this auction by a friend of mine, but usually I find them through a website called BidSpotter, and I'll link that down below, but it helps you find auctions in your area. And a trick to auctions is the auction house doesn't always know what they're auctioning, so you want to look for companies that are kind of in the manufacturing or research and development type fields, and you will typically find tools that will suit your purpose. I like to search for metalworking, woodworking, or vocational school, but you can then look on websites like BidSpotter and sort them by distance from your area. There's options to bid online, which is totally doable, but I like to go live because that gives you an opportunity to see the piece and make sure it's something that you want. One of the things you really need to do when you're going through the catalog is research what you're buying. You can see the tools, usually there's pictures of the serial number, and you can go through it and look online and see what it's worth, and typically expect to pay 80 to 90% less than what you see it used online. But you are taking a little bit of a risk. There's going to be no option to plug that tool in and see how it's running. So it is important that you do go and check it out, go early, make sure that you go through it the best you can. I try not to look too interested when I'm there just so I don't make other people think that it's valuable, but that's just a little trick of mine. Another thing that is a great trick when you're at auctions is when you see multiples of something. When those multiples of something, like for example, the planer I got, there was another 24-inch planer next to it. The auctioneer said, okay, here's 2 planers. Winner of the first bidding war gets to pick which planer he wants. So I waited. I didn't bid on the first one. I let the guy pick which one that he wanted. Both of them were spiral cutter heads. One was an Oliver that was probably more nostalgic and would go for more if I wanted to resell it. But the other one was an Invicta planer, which is a substantially awesome planer with a huge cutting capacity and a 12.5 horse motor. And so I just waited to see which one he would pick, and he got the Oliver for $1,200. But once you see how the first bidding goes, you're gonna see who else is interested in those. And there was one other guy. And so when he started the bidding on the second one, I just held my card up and said, I'm taking this one, to the guy who I knew who was going to be bidding. And he realized I wasn't going to put my hand down. So eventually he stopped bidding, knowing he wouldn't get it. And I got this planer for $800. And this thing is going to be a game changer in our shop. To be able to use a spiral cutter head to plane 24 inches is going to make a lot of projects a lot easier, and it's really going to help some of the creators we bring in get their classes done as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. So let's get into the video and let me show you how an actual auction works. We're going to show you the tools that were there and how we went about winning these bids. So here we go. So I'm here with Ken Thomas from the Inland Woodworkers out of Riverside. He's the one who invited me down to this auction. So Ken, why don't you tell us about how this auction works?
Sure. We're in Fontana right now, and you come in and you get into it for a $200 down payment, and you make sure that you want to buy something. That's how they guarantee it. They pay a 15% premium, so basically that means if you bought something for $100, you'd pay $115 because the $15 goes to the auction company, which that's how they make their money.
That's awesome.
That's how that works.
And there's no reserve on these tools, right?
Correct. They go low, they go high. It just depends on what people want to bid for them.
And you do a lot of these, right?
Yeah, I come to this one about every month. It happens the last Saturday of every month here.
That's awesome. And what's the best way for people to find out about these types of auctions?
So this one is tlcauctions.com. You go to their website, you can sign up for a newsletter, and they'll send it out to you.
But if you were to Google it for somebody who was in another part of the country, what would you look for?
Well, so I just look for auctions in my area, and then most of them are online nowadays, so you can look up what they're selling.
Right.
A lot of them don't have tools, so you have to kind of be picky as to what you look for.
Right. Well, that's some great advice, Ken. Thank you so much for inviting me down here, and now let's bid on some tools.
$50 on everybody, 50. Sold at 800. 75
For the Invicta?
$100. 100 a quarter. 300 here. 3.5 on the one. Everybody, everybody, 850. 800, 850 on the way. Everybody, 850. Everybody, 850. Sold $800. Sold $800. 656. 656. For
656.
656 takes the other Delta. 548. Takes 548. 656 takes 548.
We also got this Delta high-speed, low-speed, variable speed drill press for $250, which, I mean, this thing is a 220-volt massive beast of a machine. It's got, the table goes up and down automatically. You can change the speed with a dial. Unbelievable score. Guys, man, that was really fun, and God, did we score. So we got this 24-inch spiral head. It has a bird spiral head upgrade in it, Invicta planer, for $800 plus the buyer's premium, which is plus either 12% for cash or 15% if your credit card or check. And I couldn't be happier. They all have a little surface rust from sitting out here the last couple weeks in the rain, but other than that, this thing is perfect. It even comes with a blast gate. Ken, what did you get?
So I got a 12-inch Oliver jointer here. It's 3-phase. I paid $900 plus the buyer's premium.
This unbelievable piece of machinery. I mean,
this will be a great addition to the shop.
It still has all the original graduations that were ground into it. I mean, this thing looks like it hasn't been used in 50 years. It's unbelievably. I mean, to still have the intact guard on an Oliver as a score, and you can just see the parts that weren't out in the rain are just perfectly rust-free, zero pitting. Guys, so if I could say anything as a tip for auctions, it's when there's multiple items, wait for the first one to go. That's usually the people that want to pay the most, and then you get to take the next one for usually a lot less. I mean, the Oliver planer that was next to the Invicta, I think went for $1,400, and then I got this one for a lot less, and I couldn't be happier. I mean, I came here for a wide belt sander, but in the end, ended up falling in love with this 24-inch planer, which can do almost the same capacity as the wide belt sander, and the wide belt sander ended up going for $2,500, but I've seen it online for sale used for 10 grand. So any way you cut it, come to these auctions is a great way to get tools for cheap. Just be ready to bid. It goes really fast, and decide what you're going to pay before you get into it, because it gets emotional and you get excited. So
do your research.
Yes, I think that's a great piece of advice. Guys, check out Ken on Instagram. I'll link it right down below, and thank you so much for watching. Stay safe in the shop, and we'll talk to you soon.